I feel like a lot of professionals focus on more of like a psychological thing rather than like, oh, there's something really going on. Hello, everyone. I'm Tirzah, and this is my friend Kristin. We started our own podcast. It's called the Chronic Tea Podcast.
Hello.
Sorry, this is our first podcast ever, but the reason why we decided to do this kind of thing and create our own channel is basically we've been struggling with a lot of medical barriers in the RGB, but I feel like this tends to happen like everywhere, not just in the RGB. However, I just feel like it happens way more where we live, especially because we have lack of specialists in our area.
Sure. Gaslighting is like a pretty big issue, so it's kind of nice to actually talk about this more. And there's definitely, an inconsistent quality of care, so that's kind of why we're doing this.
Mm-hmm. 100%, because we do have very minimal specialists, especially with certain conditions. Endometriosis specialist is one of them because that's something that I struggle with really bad, and I feel like it's really difficult to find a lot of medical professionals who are way more knowledgeable with that. Because yes, we have gynecologists and they know some things. However, with endometriosis, there's a lot of things that are way more complex with that condition, and it's such a really complex thing in general. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And like for me personally, I'm dealing with POTS and even Guillain-Barre syndrome. I'm not really the GBS so much anymore because I've gotten treatment, but I'm still dealing with a lot of the major after effects. And I feel like it took me forever to get to this point with doctors misdiagnosing, and I know we both have POTS stuff, and that
Mm-hmm.
too also just takes a while to get diagnosed. And in the meantime, you're just there kind of suffering. We're getting sicker.
Yeah, and I feel like we shouldn't be at like a place where we should be suffering this long because even there was a point where I might have been misdiagnosed with gastroparesis because they told me I had gastroparesis back in 2020 or 2021, one of those. And I was struggling to eat for like a long time. And then it turned out I had stage 3 endometriosis. And when they like moved some of it during my laparoscopy, I can now eat better. I'm not having as much problems. And I even redid the gastric emptying. They said my whole test was normal, so I don't have gastroparesis. So this whole time it could have been my endometriosis affecting my digestive system and everything. So it's really crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
I'm just glad that they finally figured something out so you're not totally suffering anymore.
Yeah, for sure. We'll definitely share a more in-depth story about my journey with that as well as Kristen's because there's a lot too with her side of the story and what I saw her struggling. It was really, really hard. And I was super worried about her, but we'll definitely go in depth with her condition as well on different podcasts. But I feel like this is just much more of an introduction, just so that way you guys could kind of know what we're going to be talking about during like these podcast sessions. Sorry.
You're good. Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
So yeah, we really just wanted to do that because of the whole lack of specialists. I mean, it does take a long time to get seen with certain specialists. I know I've been waiting months. For instance, I had to see a specialist for my POTS, and I think I waited 5 or 6 months because he's probably like the only one
Yeah.
that I know of so far in the RGV. And yeah, I was super excited to finally have a doctor who knows about the condition and was willing to do the table tilt test because I've seen so many other doctors or cardiologists and they would just be, oh, it's just anxiety. Get over it. You need to move on. So I thought it was really isolating and it was just a really hard time. So I'm just, this is why we started this because I feel like we need more of this, more specialists and more knowledge, I guess, with these conditions.
Yeah, for sure. Especially because I know we've both been brushed off so many times, and it's
Yeah.
only until both of us kind of got really bad that they finally took us seriously, and they're like, okay, maybe something's actually wrong and it's not just anxiety. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
because for sure, I feel like a lot of professionals focus on more of like a psychological thing rather than like, oh, there's something really going on. I don't know. I've noticed that happening here more often.
Yeah, for both of us, it was anxiety. They were just like, no, you guys are just anxious. Just breathe.
Yes. Pretty
Just breathe.
much. Oh my gosh, they struggle.
Yeah.
The other issue that we do want to talk about is, of course, lack of awareness with certain conditions. Like I've mentioned with endo earlier, there's not enough education on it. Like some doctors still hold on to, like, I guess, the um, old studies, I guess. And I don't know if they look into new research or if they take their time to study in their own time with certain conditions because, life kind of just changes essentially. Like things change. And I just feel like some doctors kind of think that burning off like tissue with endo will help when it doesn't. It'll just make things worse. The excision kind of thing is more like a gold standard thing when it comes to endo. But I feel like some doctors don't really know that and they just think, oh, burning it off will help with that. And no, it just makes things kind of worse. I just feel like we do have like a lack of awareness with such things, especially with my best friend's condition too. Like, I've never met anybody that has her condition, so she's pretty much like the first person
Me
I've ever
neither.
met. Yeah.
Which is probably why it was so hard to figure it out. But yeah, I'm sorry that the solution with you was just like kill it with fire and hopefully it'll go away. And I'm sorry that that happened to your body. You know? Just,
Yeah,
yeah.
because I had like a mix of like excision and I think it's called like ablation. I think I may be saying that wrong. I'll probably put the word here. But
It's ablation.
yeah, it's like a mix of that, and that's what they did to me. It wasn't like just a full-on excision, and I'm like, oh no, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then the other issue that I feel like that's super important too is like the economic side and the insurance barriers. Like that is definitely the biggest part. For instance, like I need pelvic floor therapy to manage pain. Well, my insurance doesn't really cover that, and it also doesn't really cover endometriosis specialists. And it's because they don't really see that it's like, I guess, necessary, essentially, which it
Yeah.
honestly is super necessary to manage pain and to actually get a lot of the endo out.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
makes sense. Because, Medicaid and state programs are supposed to help, but they really don't cover enough. I know they didn't with me.
Hmm.
Even though I was, not able to walk or get up, even though my nerves were healing, they're just kind of like, well, you've already had all the therapy, you don't need any more. And it's
Yeah.
like, are you kidding me? I'm not even standing up yet, and they hadn't even finished my medication, like rounds. Like, I hadn't gotten all of my IVIG. So it's like I was still half paralyzed when they were
Yeah.
doing it, and it was like, of course I can't move when I'm still half paralyzed. And then,
Hmm.
yeah, it just didn't last long enough.
Yeah, which I don't really think is fair considering how, yes, you can kind of move now, but you need to be able to walk, and that's,
Yeah, like
yeah.
I need the therapy now. I didn't need it back then when they gave it to me. Like I said, I was still like half moving. Like I couldn't even move everything right. It's like now I can move everything. I'm just yeah. I need the
Yeah,
therapy now. It's crazy how
for
they
sure.
just don't really pay attention or don't listen.
Yeah, I just don't think that's really fair, so I think that's really important. And I feel
Yeah, even
like, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, even my doctor was trying to sign off on it. He was
Mhm.
like, please give her more, and they're like, nope.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy. And that's also kind of like a similar thing that I am kind of experiencing with like my insurance.
Mhm.
They're basically like, "Oh, you need to file like a claim though if I want to
Oh,
get yeah, if I want to get pelvic floor therapy or an endometriosis specialist." But the thing is, the medical professionals will have to be willing to fight for it in my
yeah, they
case.
do.
And every
They
time I
do.
try to bring that up, they're like, "Oh, well, you could just like do this or try calling this number or
Yeah,
call the clinic and see what you can do." And it's like, "No, like you need to be willing to fight for me because I can only do
yeah.
so much." Because the insurance needs to see like, "Hey, she tried this, we tried this.
Hmm.
It's not working. She doesn't tolerate this well, so we need to do something
Yeah.
else." But It's like literally up to them, and I think that's like the hardest part.
Yeah, I actually did file a claim, and it got me the tiniest little bit more physical therapy when I didn't need it.
Yeah.
and, and like, so they will do it, but I got denied a ton. Like,
Hmm.
a lot of times they'll just flat out deny you. And then the doctor does have to fight for it, you're right. In my case, I think all he had to do was like
Hmm.
say that I needed it. So it was
Yeah.
easier than something like your stuff, which is a bit more advanced,
Hmm.
because it just takes more looking into for your kind of like the stuff that you're going through rather than just, saying yes or no to physical therapy.
Hmm. 100%. That's the issue with insurances. It's really a bummer though, honestly, with that. Especially because, like with endometriosis, it's very complex and it's painful. I don't know if you guys know this, but it is one of the top most 20th painful condition ever, which is crazy. Like
Yeah, that is crazy.
I've literally seen women who've literally spoke out and said that they'd rather give birth than deal with endometriosis pain because that's how
Yeah, that's
painful it
crazy.
is. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
crazy that insurances don't really see that as like a must or a need, which there
Yeah.
really should be something with that.
Yeah, of
Hmm.
course. If someone's undergoing extreme pain, you shouldn't just ignore them. I know for me it was like pretty much the exact opposite because I was dealing with nerve loss. So rather than feeling extreme pain, I was feeling nothing at all, and I felt like that was terrible too in its own way. It's feeling
Yes.
like a ghost that's like slowly dying.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Definitely.
it's pretty crazy.
It is. I think the other thing too that we definitely need to talk about is, of course, like the transportation issues too. I think you probably know a little bit more on that side than I do with the transportation sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, at least locally, I know that there's like some medical transportation or people who like need to use wheelchairs or anything who find it hard to transfer. Basically anyone who can't walk or anything. There is that service, but you have to schedule way in advance. And then a lot of times it's like 50-50. Sometimes they'll be there, sometimes they won't. And it's pretty crazy because it's a pretty essential need, just to get to like your doctor's visits normally.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, we just have a car, so the car's not equipped unless someone can like carry me and throw out their back. No, but no, but like seriously, it is hard to transfer just like a small car whenever you can't really move anything in your body and it's
Mm-hmm.
scary, instead of just having an actual vehicle designed to like a lift or something. And
Mm-hmm.
that's like super rare over here. And it's not
Yeah.
really like they don't really give you a lot of help with it.
That's not good. Like
Yeah,
that.
so for me it was really hard to get to doctor's visits, especially when I was a lot worse and I couldn't move anything because like I was so scared of transferring because it's just like, you're just there. Okay, here, handle my body and I'm just gonna be dead weight.
Yeah.
So have fun with that and don't drop me or hurt me.
Yeah, and I remember that times too when like they were trying to transport you and stuff. I
Yeah.
I don't know if you recall, but I remember you did like before.
But yeah, no, I have a
Yeah.
couple times.
Yeah, and you did got
It's
hurt
it's
like
not just once. It's happened a couple times because it's like I know that I was pretty numbed out and I couldn't feel a lot. And I didn't well, it's not that I couldn't feel. I could feel kind of, but I couldn't move anything. That's the thing is I didn't have control over any of my limbs. So it kind of sucks that you can feel yourself fall, but you can't do anything about it.
yeah,
It's kind of messed up. Um,
sure.
and you can feel the pain. Maybe not as great as it would normally be, but you can still feel the pain, but you can't do anything about it. You
Hmm.
can't move or anything. So it's pretty crazy. And I know that there's times I've gotten scared while transferring and I've like squiggled my upper body and you don't want to do that. But I've done it and I've fallen. So yeah.
Yeah, that's scary. I do remember that too, because you would show me like all the scrapes. Yeah,
Yeah,
so there
it
needs
was
to be
crazy.
something with transportation, most definitely,
Yeah,
for
and
those
that's
who
because
have
we were
those.
given the resources for it, but like a lot of times they just weren't available, or even if we did schedule in advance, it's like something happened, or that
Hmm.
happened a couple times. It doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes it's there, and I remember using it one or two times, and it was really awesome. But that's only if you can actually schedule it.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. The next thing that we also have here, which is another issue, is limited access to support services. So essentially, there is not a lot of groups in the RGB that will basically have support for people with chronic issues or like mental issues, which is why I decided to create, like our own group for the community. And honestly, I'm really glad. I think we received like 51 members already.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been incredible and they've been grateful that I made that group and I'm really happy about that. I decided to make one because I've realized that we just don't have one. So when
Yeah.
yeah, like it's crazy. And when we were basically going through like chronic illness, I was even like, telling her that I've never met anybody else in the RGB that has like chronic issues like I do, besides my friend. Like, she's the only one that I knew that had POTS. But I'm just like, is there anybody else here that has
Yeah.
POTS, that has endometriosis, or even gastroparesis, or maybe even what my best friend has?
Yeah.
So
GBS or anything.
yeah, so that's why I was like, you know what, I'm gonna create this group. And so far I found a couple people that do have pods, even lupus too. I hope I said that right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. So I'm really glad that the group is able to like help people within our community, especially if they need that support, because nobody should be dealing with it alone. Like, I know how that feels.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of the groups that I found were just like on online forums, and it was people from kind of all over the country. And then most of the times, a lot of the people weren't even active. So, so it was a lot of like dead groups. Like, some people would post, but it's not really relevant to our area either, like the RGV, or if people were talking about, talking to their doctors about specific things with their condition. It was like in other states entirely across the United States. So it's just like, okay, well, I could never go there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I can never visit the doctor in like Washington.
Yeah, that's the same issue that I had. They would be like, oh, there's a good doctor in Austin, Dallas, or Houston. And I'm just like, I can't travel because I don't have the luxury. I don't have that
Yeah.
financial luxury to do that. And it's really hard to travel like long distance. And it's
Yeah.
also super expensive to go on a plane. And I don't know if that's something that I could tolerate because I'm really scared of heights. Um, so I also wanted to
Also the
create the group.
POTS. The
Yeah,
POTS, it gets like more aggravated whenever you change elevations and stuff.
I actually did not know about
So,
that.
yeah, like, well, as far as I understand, is it like you have to be careful and you have to like acclimatize yourself. So, like, it
Yeah.
can be kind of a big deal if you have not a big deal, but like if you someone who's dealing with chronic illnesses, flying isn't like a happy thing. Like it can, especially if you're scared of heights. Like you said, it's not
Hmm.
something that's just so super easy to do.
Yeah, for sure. I'm newly diagnosed with POTS, so I'm still learning along the way. I know my best friend has had it for a while, but I just got diagnosed recently, actually. So I'm pretty much learning about that. But yeah, so going back to the whole group thing, though, like that's for sure why I did it, because also I feel like it's a way where we can find good doctors, because here in the RGB it's really hard to find good medical professionals, and I think it's really good to give people like alternatives, like, hey, I met this doctor here and like he's really good. He found my POTS diagnosis, like he figured it out. Or this gynecologist figured out that I had endometriosis. And it really does help other people because they're like, okay, like I'll go to this doctor. And I think that's super important in the RGB, because when I was going through all this chronic illness issues, I was going to like so many specialists, so many medical professionals, and
For
so
sure.
many, yeah, like so many let me down. I think out of all the cardiologists I've seen, only one out of all of them, I think I probably saw like 5 or 6 of them, I'm not even kidding. Out of all of them, one of them actually was like, okay, there's definitely something wrong. Let me go ahead and basically refer you to this specialist. And he did that. And after all these years, I finally found one who's like, I'm pretty sure you have POTS. Let's do the table tilt test. Got it done. Sure enough, he's like, you got the goods.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
same with
yeah.
me. Like, when I finally got diagnosed, it was nice. It didn't take as long as you, though. But especially with the GBS, like, that took a while. Because it's like I was already showing symptoms, and they had even sent me to a neurologist before, even in the hospital, and nobody caught it. It was crazy. It was only until I was really, really bad that they finally are like, oh, you have something. Oh, we found out what it is. And it's like if they had
Yes.
caught it earlier, I wouldn't be like where I'm at right now. You know, I would have probably never stopped walking as long as I was able to get my IVIG a lot earlier. I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have ended up in the hospital looking all crazy either because my nerves were fried. Well, I do look crazy in the hospital. Like I've seen videos and I was like, yeah, my nerves are freaking fried.
But yeah, she had, it was bad. I saw the videos. I felt so bad. Like, I was definitely really worried about her.
Yeah, I look haunted.
Yeah, even when she goes back and watches those, she tells me that it just kind of like freaks her out because she
No,
can't
yeah,
believe
I
that,
can't
you know?
watch them. Like the
Yeah.
videos are there, but I can never open them. I
Hmm.
don't want to.
It was crazy because I was just telling her husband, I was like, we definitely need to do, I guess, record her journey along her getting better, stuff like
Yeah, well,
that.
he's the one who has the videos of me acting crazy, so that's why I'm like, yeah, like don't ever send them to me. You can keep them, but I'm not gonna like, I don't want to
Yeah.
know.
I would never torture you like that because I'd be terrified. If I was in your shoes and I saw that,
Yeah,
I'd be scared too.
yeah, yeah.
I understand completely. And that
My
that's
family was
exactly
just over there thinking I was possessed or something, and I'm like, no, it's just nerve damage. Really, really bad nerve damage.
yes, it's crazy. We'll definitely go into a deep dive with her story with that too. And we'll talk about what she went through with all of that. But yeah, it was really scary. And that's why I say there's a lot of lack of awareness or like knowledge on such conditions in our area because that's
Yeah,
a
for sure.
neurologist and you would think they would know like, hey, it could be this
Hmm.
or let's check for this, but
Yeah, they could have caught it earlier for sure because I was already showing symptoms. It's just they didn't catch it because I guess they wrote me off as like just having anxiety or something or chronic fatigue syndrome, you know?
and they're like, nope, there's nothing wrong. Like, let's go send you off here. You know what I mean? So it's
Hmm.
like it was crazy. Like even the paramedics when we had to call 911. If it's okay to share this.
No, yeah, it's fine.
Okay, well, we had called the paramedics and they were even freaking out and they're like, "Oh, I'm surprised they even like brought her back home." It was crazy. We told them everything about it and the paramedics are freaking out cuz
I'm
they're
not even sure what you're talking about right now. It's
yeah.
crazy. Like, I
Yes.
don't even know which incident you're talking about, but okay.
Yeah. Well, there was like this one incident. It's okay.
Hey, hey, it's fine. Stop barking.
Yeah, there was. I'm not sure. I think this was the time when you were having the whole memory things too. Like, yeah, but
Okay.
there was a time where we did call like 911 and they came to get you and the paramedics were freaking out because they were even confused because they knew that there was something going on, but they're just why would they like bring her back? Like there's obviously something going on, but yeah, like they were
Yeah.
just freaked out by that. Just as
Yeah.
I was
Yeah, I
too.
feel like the doctors just like most of them just couldn't figure it out. I guess it was really, really rare. So it's the last thing they would think of to look for. But I mean, from what I understand, at least with COVID, like the symptom, like the amount of people with GBS is like rising. So they should have known to at least look for something, but they just didn't, I guess.
Hey, Yin is cute.
Hey, stop it, old lady.
The sausage queen.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, so this is essentially why we created the whole podcast because I think this is something that we definitely need to advocate for, especially because, like we said, many doctors here, they just don't have experience well, a lot of doctors here don't have experience with treating conditions like POTS, endo, or, GBS
Yeah.
too. So I was lucky because she told me about her doctor and I went, and that's when he was like, you do have POTS. And, so it
Yeah.
was pretty interesting. And I just feel a lot of medical professionals tend to like misdiagnose or ignore altogether. And I guess I would like to,
Anxiety.
yeah, just like anxiety, that's all it is. But yeah, they mostly go towards a psychological thing when there's something physical happening. Definitely.
I guess if you are suffering and dealing with issues, don't give up and keep looking for answers. You'll find them. And your health is worth it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Don't ever
And
give up.
sanity.
Yeah. Yeah, don't ever give up. Keep pushing. Because I know there was a point where I thought I was crazy. And I was like, maybe these medical professionals are right. Maybe it is just anxiety. And I thought I was just, I don't know, going crazy or something. I'm like, is this all in my head? Like, it was really messing with me really bad until I
Yeah.
finally figured it out. And now I feel like I'm at peace. So, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely don't give up. Keep pushing. But that's basically all we have for today, for today's podcast. This is like our intro of why we are doing this. And if anything resonates with you, we would love for you guys to be a part of the movement. So make sure you follow us. Join us also on the RGB Chronic Warriors group. This is mostly for those that are living in the RGB, though. We wanted to make sure it's locally because I feel like we do need this community locally because we don't have one. So if you are from the RGB, feel free to join that group. We would definitely really appreciate it. The more awareness we can spread and the more support other people will have.
For sure.
But yeah. Sorry. Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Like I said, this is just the beginning and we're excited to take this journey with you all. Until next time, take care. Bye, guys.